Welcome, everyone, to the North Shore 9 post-game show sponsored by Primanti Bros. I'm Neil. I'm here with Doug. Doug, the Pirates lose 5-3. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fine. Hey, it's a bad game. It's the battle of the basement. You got the B team rolling. The big three did their thing last night and talked about the 10 most embarrassing moments on NS Live, and I think you could have added four more of them from tonight's game. But yeah, another lackluster effort from the battling or not so much battling Buccos. It started with the lineup. That lineup, you're like, oh God, I don't know that we could beat Altoona. So,
Yeah, it's a little rough out there. So the Pirates lose once again. A combination of a lot of things. It's bad pitching, bad defense, and not enough offense. It was a very, very typical day. So yeah, I had a carbon monoxide scare in my house today, and somehow my day got worse.
yeah,
Like we had the firemen here everywhere. This
go to the
basically,
light, Neil. Go to
hey.
the light. Don't stay and watch the Pirates again.
So yes, so a summary of the game. So the Pirates go pretty quietly in the first inning, 1-2-3, and then Bailey Falter takes the mound. And well, Doug, let's say it wasn't Bailey Falter's best day.
No,
Um,
very reminiscent of his first start in Miami last year. Yeah,
mhm.
but that ended well. So
Yeah,
that's what I thought of. I thought, wow, he gave Bailey. When he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. He could not find the strike zone, and it cost him.
yeah, he starts off the game with 3 straight walks, and I think they were showing on the broadcast after that he's top 5 in the majors in terms of first inning ERA.
Yeah, it's something like 7.11, something. I
Yeah,
mean, something just terrible, right?
something about it this year, he's not been able to start games as well, and it was kind of frustrating because he loads the bases almost immediately. He 3 straight walks. It's really not what you wanna see, and then he induces a double play and only 1 run scores, like, "Oh, it's perfect, okay."
Right.
Really rough start. But you can get out of this. And then he immediately leaves a fastball down the middle to Candelario, who puts it into the left field bleachers. And now it's 3-0. Um,
And the game's over.
yeah, I mean,
Effectively, right? I
it
mean,
felt over. And so, you know, what are your thoughts on Falter right now? Because he settled down after that. Like I would say none of the runs after that are really his fault. But this is a first inning problem that keeps persisting.
right. And it's something, he's not three starts into his career anymore. He's
Mhm.
got some starts under his belt. It's time he starts figuring this out, making the adjustment necessary. Um, I mean, let's face it. Of the five starters that we have now, if anybody's on thin ice, hot shoes, right, would be Bailey Falter. You've got some of those guys down at AAA throwing pretty well. Um, Again, when Bailey Falter has a bad start, it's usually a pretty bad start. He settled down a little after. He didn't get much help from his defense, his
No.
catcher in particular. But it's in that this is now two bad starts in a row. One was against a very good hitting team. The Reds are a pretty decent hitting team. Well, no, they're not. They
Yeah,
they
they're
they
they're
should
they're
they
they're
look like
about
they
as bad
should
as
be.
us.
About as us. They look like they should be better.
Yeah.
And then it's a very good hitting ballpark. So I'm no panic button on Bailey Falter. He never looks great. You know what I mean? Even when he's dealing, it always seems to be a struggle, and he always seems to be kind of taking those deep breaths and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not going to worry about him yet. Hopefully, his next start, he gets back out there and gets back in the groove. but this first inning thing is something he needs to get a handle on,
Mhm.
um,
See,
quickly, because
mhm.
we just can't keep running him out there if he's not effective.
All right. Yeah, and I agree. Like, I just feel like, something has to figure out, but I think I am going to start hitting the panic button because I'm already kind of low on Bailey Falter as is. I think what we saw last year is probably the best we are ever going to see at Bailey Falter because his entire
I'm
game is dependent on really good control of a 91 mile an hour fastball. And when that is off, you're grouping pitches to Candelario, who is not a very good hitter. He wasn't very good last year. He hasn't been good this year. And like if when you're not on, his stuff just is not good enough to not be this consistent. Like I think he needs to be on the chopping block very quickly, especially if Bubba Chandler keeps doing what he's doing in AAA.
No, I mean, for sure. If his next start comes up and you tell me that either Bubba or Ashcraft or Michael Burrows, or Harrington comes back, or anything, I'm not going to be mad about that.
Mhm.
Bailey Falter is only, valuable to us if he's pitching very effectively.
Mhm.
Otherwise, he's in the way of somebody with upside that I'd rather see, start facing major league hitters. So, right, if
Mhm.
if he's not pitching as well as he did last year, then let's move on. Let's not give him 10 starts to figure it out. Let's go. Let's bring up one of these kids. Um,
Yeah.
you know, why spin our wheels any more than we already do?
Yeah, and so we'll go on in Bailey Falter's start because the offense doesn't really do anything until the fifth inning. But so the end result for Bailey Falter is 5 runs. I'm sorry, 5 innings, 3 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them earned, all in the first inning, 5 walks. That is where I kind of like draw the line where it's like Bailey Falter cannot be walking a guy in an inning. He can't be walking 5 guys in the start. He does not have the stuff to get over that. And
Well,
you
and
saw the
it's
first inning, three
yeah,
walks, 3 runs came home.
yeah. I mean, and his team is so bad defensively and so poor offensively, we cannot afford to put base runners on. We can't give free passes. We're not good enough. We can't overcome 2 and 3 run deficits. We when we put runners on, there's a good chance that we're going to do something really stupid in the field, and we're going to make a stupid error. We're going to make a stupid throw. We're going to run a bad route on a ball. We're going to throw to the wrong base. All this sort of stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah, and you do that after you've walked the bases loaded, and the results are not going to be good.
Yeah,
And
you're
again,
asking
we
for
we don't,
trouble.
yeah, we don't have the lineup that can overcome this. We don't
Mhm.
have the bullpen that can overcome this. We don't have it's just you can't do it. We can't do it
Mhm.
if he doesn't get his control straightened out. If he's not able to get clean innings, then next man up.
Yeah, and so the walks also persist. So like the next incident is in the bottom of the third where the other 2 runs come through and 5-0 for this Pirates team is just awful. But he gets TJ Friedel the ground out, then he walks Blake Dunn, then Ellie De La Cruz grounds onto a force out. So you have 2 outs. So like you have 2 outs, you don't turn to double play. Spencer Steer walks. So you've walked 2 guys this inning. And then but this is totally not his fault because I don't I was away from my computer when this happened, so I didn't actually see this play, but I just get the notification on my phone as I'm putting away my dinner that Andy Rodriguez, they start wild pitch by Bailey Falter, 2 runs score. That's the notification I get. I'm just like, what the heck? And so you go back and you see the play, and Andy Rodriguez just throws the ball way past third base. It looked like it hit his mask,
Yeah.
and
I,
with runners on
yeah.
first and second and 2 outs on a wild pitch, 2 runs score for the Reds.
Yeah. Yeah. Today was not a good day for Andy Rodriguez.
No.
um, he started out at first. Something happened with Bart. He's day to day now. So he moves to catcher. And let me be very clear. I love Andy. I think he might be a decent player. I think he might be able to hit. He's shown some signs. He's hit a little better this month than he did, in the earlier part of the season in March. But he is. And I'm kind of going to jump ahead here, but when he admired his what he thought was a home run,
Hmm.
Andy Rodriguez, you've already allowed 2 runs in by throwing the ball into the deep left field corner. You're a 215 career hitter. You've got 3 home runs in your career. You've not hit the ball very hard this year. You haven't hit the ball since Double A in 2023. I love his energy. I love his enthusiasm. I love his vibe. But come on, dude, you cannot be admiring stuff out of the box. You need to put your head down and run,
Hmm.
especially after throwing, allowing 2 runs in with a terrible throw. Um, like, again, I hope our veteran leadership, I hope that Tommy Pham and Adam Frazier pulled him aside immediately and coached him up, because that's what they're here for. Apparently, we don't have coaches that do that. So we need this veteranocity. I think Donardo called it the other day, and I mean, it's like Andy. This team's not good. We're not good enough to. It's embarrassing. Like I mean, again, I'll put a lot on the coaching, but the players have to execute, and the players need to have some pride, some self respect. That, like, you got to play this game hard. Especially when you've done nothing in this game. It's not like you're resting on your laurels of a 30 home run season or something. You're a guy that's hit 3 home runs, and those were in late in the 23 season. um, Again, so yeah, I mean, I think it's been since 22 actually since he's hit well. That was at Double A, because in 23 he played at Triple A and he wasn't very good at Triple A. So I don't know how comfortable. I mean, I know all the players seem to like Derek Shelton, but I'm beginning to think they like him because there's no accountability. There's no, uh, um, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, Andy needs to be better, and he needs to figure it out on his own, whether he gets coached up or not. That you just can't stand there and admire your single. you
Well,
know,
here's the thing though, and like I was really hoping we weren't going to do this tonight,
Sorry.
but like, do we think that like Derek Shelton is just sitting in there like just okay with people making errors like that? Like, do you think he's like just sitting there like, hey, Andy, throw it up the third base line, why don't you? Like, let me ask you this: why do we never have these discussions about Brian Hayes needing coaching? Why do we not have these discussions about Adam Frazier needing coaching? And the reason is because those are competent players.
Very true.
And
Very
you are
true.
asking him to go out like it just boggles my mind that Derek Shelton is the subject of this when we're talking about a guy who hit his mask while throwing a baseball. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but hit his mask while throwing a baseball and then stood there at home plate. Again, when a player does something stupid, and that was stupid. The mask, one of those weird things that happens, right? You can't really coach that up. But when he does something stupid like stand there and admire, his out, you know, and gets himself thrown out at second, somebody needs to say something, right? That's not, again, that
you have
wasn't that
absolutely
wasn't
no
a
idea if anyone is saying anything or not.
no, no,
Like,
no. I'm not saying he has or he hasn't, but this happens a lot with this team,
yeah, because
right?
they employ
There's
bad baseball players.
yeah,
Like
but I mean, again,
when you look up like when you look up like you mentioned at the beginning of the post game, this lineup is terrible.
no, no, Neil, I agree. However, terrible players can be expected to make good effort,
Yeah,
right? So that's my qualm there. I understand that he could be the Derek Shelton could be the second coming of Connie Mack or somebody along those lines, and you can't coach these bad players into becoming good players. However, you should be able to coach them into giving all out effort.
see,
Right. I'm not even going to say you could stop them from making errors. I'm not going to, that sort of thing. But when you consistently have lack of effort plays, in the outfield, on the base paths, at home plate, that has to reflect on the coaching staff some.
So like,
I-
but here's the thing: is like, are we like besides Endy admiring a home run, what today was a bad effort?
well, I mean, you won a game. How many do you need? How
I
many
mean,
do you
like,
need?
I think we are misconstruing bad baseball players doing bad things because they're not MLB level players and effort.
Okay, all right. But are you
And
saying that Endy's not an MLB?
not the moment he's not.
Okay, all right,
I mean, like, no, like his defense has gone down a cliff too.
all right,
Like, like yeah, that was his selling point. And
right,
so
right. He
like
was supposed to be the best defensive catcher of the group.
he was supposed to be.
Hmm.
But like I feel like if you are watching the games and you are seeing the inability to turn two, like like IKF can't turn a double play, he can't throw guys out. Do you think that's because of an effort thing? No, it's because his arm sucks.
No, no,
Like,
he
and,
can't
and
play.
that,
I agree.
I think that is the I think
But
that
let me
is where
ask you
we are
this then.
losing.
Let's get back to this then. Who
Yeah,
put him at shortstop when Chang was also in the game? Why wasn't Chang at shortstop and IKF moved to second base?
because
That
I
is
can't be every
absolutely
base
a
at
coaching
shortstop. Like
decision.
that's what the front office decided.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, the front office should be gone as well. But I mean, again, that decision in game, I'm assuming was made by Shelton. And again, maybe it came from, I think almost all the decisions come from above, honestly. But again, so that was an organizational decision. I won't blame Shelton, but somebody. Chang is a decent defensive shortstop. He clearly should be in there. If him and IKF are in the same lineup, then Chang should be at shortstop. At least take advantage of the players that you have doing what they do best.
Well,
You're right. You're right. There.
yeah,
No matter how much Shelton coaches up IKF, he can't turn the double play, and he can't throw.
yeah. I mean,
There's nothing Shelton can do. He can't sprinkle magic pixie dust on him.
mhm.
But I think he could have put him at second base. you know?
And that's fine. I just don't think that that changes anything from tonight's game. Like, like I feel like we are just looking for someone to blame, which is fair. I think that we're just blaming someone who is just kind of he doesn't have any help. Like, I mean, again, I'm
No,
looking
I mean
at the
I
lineup and like,
agree, but at some point, right? I mean, both these guys should be gone, right? Like so. In my opinion, Charrington has provided him a terrible, terrible roster, but I don't think he's got the most out of the roster either. And I mean, I agree with you. 75%. I said this on the show Wednesday night. We're a roster filled with guys that you would be okay if he was the 26th man, and
mhm,
we've got five of them in the lineup every night. Sawinski should not be here. Pham should not be here. Frazier should not be here.
yeah,
I mean, uh, uh, and I'm already at a loss at some of the others. Canario should not be here. Valdez should not be here.
yeah.
I mean, it's so yes. I mean, Shelton, it's stacked against him, but I have seen sort of bad rosters sort of perform better fundamentally than what this bad roster performs.
Well, I think my response to that is just that we just employ a lot of bad defensive players.
Yes,
Um,
we do.
but I think this is a good segue. I think we spent enough time on that. Just as much fun as this has been, let's talk about the lineup because this is again like why I go to bat for Shelton so much because here are some facts about the Pirates offense. The Pirates offense did not get a single hit until the fifth inning, where they scored all three of their runs. Um, it took forever, but they finally got their first hit in the fifth inning, where you had a Tommy Pham double on a hit and run that scores Jack Sawinski, who walked, and then Adam Frazier hits a very great American ballpark homer. All right, we got some hits. Beautiful. After that, the Pirates get one hit the rest of the game. Also,
And wasn't that hit thrown out at second base?
Well, I mean, sorry, 2 hits. Endy's hit,
Okay. All right.
and then I think Brian Reynolds singles. All right.
That's right. Reynolds did
So
single.
before the Tommy Pham double, they went over 10 straight innings without a hit against a starting pitcher and going over 3 days without a hit against a starting pitcher. The Pirates are third in strikeouts and seventh in grounding into double plays. They are 27th in home runs. Tonight, they score 3 runs, all in the same inning, off Brady Singer, which, off the starter, that's a positive. But this offense is putrid. It is horrible. And there are positives. But this team is a AAA offense. And I'm tired of watching it. It is boring.
Oh, it's
This
gross.
team does not do anything interesting for 90% of the game. I am
No.
bored out of my mind.
It was the same problem last year. We'd score our runs in one inning, and then it's this odd phenomenon. We can score in an inning, and then it's how often do we hear the broadcasters talking in ninth inning? Yeah, they haven't had a hit since the fourth inning. Yeah, they
Mhm.
and before that, it's like what no hits so far. And Singer did not look great. Singer has pitched really well in his first couple starts this year. He did not look sharp tonight.
No, he wasn't good.
But it didn't matter. He didn't need to look sharp against us because journeyman pitchers can go six no-hit innings against us. A guy like Singer is it's going to be an
Yeah.
easy breezy game. Yeah, this offense is dreadful, and they've had some. I mean, I heard the guys in Apple TV like, oh yeah, they're saying the injury that's hurt most is Nick Gonzalez. Yeah, Nick Gonzalez is going to come and turn around this offense with his 700 OP. It's just terrible. I mean,
But
it's ridiculous. And here's the thing: they can't hit, but they can't field either. It's stunning to me that if you're going to go sign a bunch of guys that are 200 hitters with 600 OPS, at least get the ones that are good fielders. The bat. There is nobody here that the bat will play. We,
yeah.
we don't. That little expression does not apply to this team. But
Mhm.
again, they can't field either. I mean, how in year six of a rebuild do you have an entire roster filled with guys? I mean, Brian Hayes is the only guy on this team that is average to above. I mean, he's way above average, obviously, but like
Mhm.
he's the only one that's really good. I mean, again, Chang may show some stuff.
Technically, Sawinski's actually been pretty good in center field this year. I'm actually really
Yeah.
surprised by that. But no, the defense is terrible. But Doug, I want you to guess. We had 12 hitters go to the plate tonight. 12. How many of them do you think had an OPS over 700, which is about league average? It's slightly below league average, but let's just call it league average. Over 700. How many?
I don't think we had any.
We had
That was
two.
right. Okay,
We
so
had
it's
Joey Bart
Reynolds is yeah. Okay, Joey Bart was 800,
and
right?
we had Andrew McCutcheon.
Oh, I
Those guys
forgot. Kutch
combined for
came in.
2 at-bats tonight.
All right.
The
Yeah.
rest OPS wise, Valdez 527, Reynolds 643, Chang 0, Canario 204, ND 561, Hayes 681, Sawinski 408, Pham 441, Frazier 466, and that's with the homer tonight,
Yeah.
and IKF 669. So like no one's hitting. And I'll give him some flack. Any team that is dealing with injuries from Cruz, Reynolds, Bart now, as well as York getting hurt in AAA, Horowitz is hurt, and Gonzalez is hurt. Those are 6 guys like coming into this year. You were probably relying on for big offensive help. Like those are probably a lot of the mainstays in your lineup.
Yeah, I mean that's the better part of what our lineup would be in best case
Yeah.
scenario, anyway.
And so in some ways, like it's not entirely their fault because there's a lot of guys here who we definitely didn't think would be here at this point. That being said, it's still abysmal. And a lot of these guys are guys that were brought in this offseason. Like there's some like Frazier. I know he homered. Like it's just it's not good enough.
No, I mean right. Valdez, Canario, Frazier, Pham, the late spring additions. are not doing anything and don't expect them to do anything. Right. There's hope that Brian Hayes will hit a little better, and he seems to, you know, there's hope that Endy will hit a little better. Um, but you're not really expecting much from any of the other guys that we've been talking about tonight.
No.
Yeah, Nick York hit a home run, and at this point, I'm ready to bring up Connor Griffin. Um, you know, I mean, but yeah, York hit a home run tonight. I hope he's on his way here. I'm assuming Henry Davis is on his way, but he's not hitting at AAA. Um,
Yep.
yeah, it's ugly. It's dreadful. It's shameful. It's dereliction of duty.
Mhm.
Um, it's and again, to me, when you just add on top of it that none of them can field, so like you brought a bunch of guys in with no benefit, no added value. I mean, if we had some sort of Rafael Belliard type at shortstop that was making all the plays, they say, well, the pitchers love him, and we're built around pitching, and no, he's not really a great hitter, but
Mhm.
no, it's like no, none of them. None of them can hit, none of them can field, and none of them seem to care all that much.
I mean, and that's the thing about all this is I'm not mad at a single player because I can tell that every single player is coming in and I genuinely think they are all giving their best effort. I genuinely think they come in, they care, they want to win. I don't get the impression that there is any lack of effort in this team. I really don't. I'm not mad at any of them at all. They're just not good enough.
Right.
And it explains
No,
again,
no.
like we
Yeah,
had
we
two
have.
hits after the fifth inning where we got our 3 runs. One was a thrown out double, which we can talk about. I think we can talk about next. And the other one was a single by Brian Reynolds. But let's try to talk a little bit about the game, I guess. And so Andy Rodriguez, because the Pirates offense does absolutely nothing after the fifth inning. Endy, however, does get into one. He drives it all the way to the wall. What inning? Do you remember what inning that was?
I think that was in the fifth inning.
No,
I'm
it was in the sixth. All right, top of
okay.
the sixth. Endy drives one all the way up to the wall, and I just think, I mean, yes, he should have hustled right out of the box, but he's also just horribly unlucky. The ball bounces right off the wall into Gavin Lux's hand, and he's out by a like a half second. Um, That was it was kind of like summed up the whole night because like you kind of felt the energy shifting like after that Frazier homer and after you pick off TJ Friedel like it felt like it was shifting like the tides were shifting in the game. I was actually kind of getting on here waiting to talk about a victory and then Endy gets thrown out a second and then we don't do anything the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was unlucky. I just, again, when you're a career 215 hitter, bust it out of the box.
I agree.
I mean, it's just that simple. This team, these players, none of them are good enough to sort of rest on their laurels and admire their, you know, their at bats. It's just, and again, this is a guy that has great energy and great enthusiasm, and you could tell is just so happy to be playing baseball. So, I don't think he's some sort of problem and he's going to be a malingerer or anything along those lines. It's just be better.
Yeah.
Just be better. Like I said, I'm not attaching that to coaching or anything. It's on his own. He needs to say, I need to run really fast after I make contact.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I agree. Like you
but,
should not be admiring anything.
yeah.
When you're hitting this badly, and his offense shouldn't be admiring anything. They don't deserve to be
Well, that's
admiring
what I'm
anything.
saying. Like, wait, you haven't hit enough. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't done this enough to be able to say, "Oh yeah, I know that's a homer." How would you know? You haven't hit one this year. You haven't
Yeah,
hit one, and it's been now since probably September of 23. It's like this isn't so automatic to you that you know what's going on, and yeah,
yeah,
it's just right. And I put that, squarely on Endy's shoulders. Like I said, that's, you know, again, that's a coaching after the fact. And I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure Tommy Pham and Adam Frazier went right to him because that's why
yeah.
we got, you know.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Like you can't. You gotta make. I think James said it best. You got to make your own luck. Now the rest of the game. I mean, Shugart I thought was pretty good when he came in.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Shugart and Wentz did a really good job
Yes, they did.
bridging the gap today. And kind of what like they didn't give up any runs over the last 4 innings. They did a really nice job shutting down the Reds' offense. Shugart, 1.1 inning, 1 and 1/3, one hit, one walk, one strikeout, no runs. And Wentz didn't give up a single base runner and struck out two in his nearly 2 innings of work. They were quite good tonight. I gotta say.
Neil, I really like our bullpen. If used properly, I do. I mean, we started out with bad habits, following old by letting Holderman and Bednar pitch the eighth and ninth, but we've moved on from that. We've got, I mean, Ferguson is pitching well. Santana's pitching well. Baraki had a little blip, but he has pitched well. Wentz and Shugart, we got some guys that can get outs. They've done a great job in those extra inning games. We went 2 innings with the outlet without letting the Yankees score. A very
Mhm.
good hitting team, and then 4 innings without letting. Well, no, the Cardinals scored one, and then
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, that's more, starting out with a guy on second, no outs, and not letting them score against good hitting teams. We have a good bullpen if used properly and not overused. And
Mhm.
there's always, because we can't score and regulation, not only are we not necessarily getting long enough outings from our starters, but then, we tack on another 2 or 3 innings of having someone pitch. So,
Yeah. I mean,
but this bullpen looks like it could be an asset and a strength.
yeah, just because it's so early, I don't know how much like stock I'm gonna put into Shugart and Wentz. But like, what I do really like is there's a lot of guys in this bullpen that can go more than 1 inning. Like, there's something about having a Chapman. Chapman was, personal issues aside, like really nice for having like one big shutdown inning. But I do like the fact that we have a lot of options that can go more than just like one single inning. They can go back out there and take the ball again, especially with our starters not going deep enough into games so far. It's really saved us a lot of innings. And it's been quality innings. Like outside of like Tim Mesa, I think the other guys have done a pretty good job on mop up duty, like Wentz and everyone. Like so, no, it's a very small positive, but I do see the vision.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's there. Again, it needs to be managed properly and not to be overused.
Hmm.
Keller gave us a great start the other day. Skeens is always good for some innings. Heaney looks like he's going to be good for some innings. So, there's no reason, if we could just score a run or two, outside of the 1 inning where we always score, the bullpen could be very effective. You're right, it's early,
Hmm.
but you know, it's early till it's not, and as long as they're doing it now, I'm again, I'm not terrified when these guys come in.
Yeah,
Sort of like I was at the beginning of the season when I was terrified when Holderman and Bednar were coming in. I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen here.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Big thing, no leadoff walks. That's what I'm noticing. That's a huge.
Matt, that's old
uh,
news, brother. My Wi-Fi's working fine. That's last
but
year,
yeah,
buddy. We've moved on.
so the Pirates dropped to 5-9. We are now, I think, pretty solidly in last place in the NL Central now.
Oh, sole possession, sole possession.
Yep. Uh, so I think that's the game. So for tonight, tomorrow is another 6:40 pitch. It is Andrew Heaney versus Andrew Abbott. So hopefully the Pirates can pick up a dub there. And hopefully we can give away some sandwiches.
Right.
Uh, but yeah,
And then
any last thoughts
Majinski
on?
on Sunday. Yeah, I mean, look, Singer versus Falter looked like a matchup in favor of the Reds to start, and then you rolled out our lineup of a bunch of 200 hitters with 500 OPS, and it looked even more so. Um, Again, hopefully Cruz is back tomorrow. Hopefully Kutch and Reynolds can be in the game at the same time, and maybe we can put a few guys in there that can string a hit or two together, and I'm assuming Andy will be starting a catcher. Hayes, that sort of thing. Scratch out a couple runs in multiple innings, get good pitching from Heaney, and let the bullpen take you home. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, all I'll say is before we sign off is it's incredible how we can talk about how a team can't pitch, hit, or field, but that the manager is still at fault for all that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're going down with that ship, Neil. I love it. I love it.
It is going to continue into the next manager. Like, it's going to happen. But thank you, everyone.
I just hope the next general manager get here soon. That's my hope.
Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Please follow us on all socials. If you want to talk with fellow Pirates fans, please join. Well, during the games, join our Discord. We have a game chat that we talk about the games all the time. But thank you all for joining, and have a good night.
Yeah, guys, thanks. We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.